Hey English learners, welcome to this A2 English listening practice video. I hope you're doing well and that you're ready to practice your listening. Today, I want to talk about what makes a good English learner. And of course, this is for any language, not just an English learner, but a good French learner, a good Spanish learner. What makes a good language learner? So, I want to talk about 4 things that make a good English learner. There are many more things, but I want to highlight 4. And before we continue on, if you can understand me in this video, and it's pretty easy for you to understand what I'm saying, but you can't understand native speakers when they speak fast, then my listening training is for you. So make sure you sign up for my membership, and you'll get access to my listening practice seminars in which I help you understand native speakers when they speak fast. So at the time of recording this, it's only $2 a month to sign up. It's cheap, affordable. You should do that. The link is down below. Do that so you can improve your listening. So let's talk about some different things that make a good English learner or language learner in general. So, number 1, an interest in other cultures. Okay? When you're interested in other cultures, this gives you a reason. This gives you motivation to learn the language that you're learning, even if it's challenging, even if you're having trouble, it's difficult for you, you hit a plateau, perhaps. Regardless of these things, if you have a real interest, a genuine interest in other cultures, and specifically the culture that speaks the language that you're learning, in your case, English. So perhaps it's American culture, Canadian culture, Australian culture, British culture, whatever. If you have that intense interest in that culture, it gives you a reason. And having a reason to learn a language is super powerful. This makes all the difference, okay? When you have a reason, you actually want to do it. You don't just have to learn the language, but you want to. That's super helpful and motivating, and it makes it easier, I think. It makes you have less resistance when you encounter differences, when you see that the language that you're learning, English, for example, has these linguistic differences that you don't quite understand. For a lot of people, that can make it hard for them to continue on with their language learning. But if you're interested in other cultures, the culture that speaks the language that you're learning, you are more likely to accept these differences. These differences aren't necessarily a problem. You're actually kind of interested in the differences, just like you're interested in the different culture. So that helps a lot. It helped me a lot when I was learning Spanish. At that time, I was super interested in Latin America, in Mexico in particular. I was super excited about discovering that culture, getting to know the different aspects of life and culture, and it helped me accept the differences that I was encountering with the Spanish language. So that was something that really helped me. It really aided me in my language learning. And for example, if you're looking to become more interested in U.S. culture, if you want to learn more and get excited about learning about the different states and cities in the U.S., I encourage you to check out my U.S. Conversations podcast, in which I talk to different English teachers from around the country about their state, their city. It's a lot of fun, so that link is down below. Next, the next thing I wanted to mention was that patience really helps someone be a better language learner, okay? You shouldn't be discouraged about how long it takes. Learning a language takes a long time. Let's be honest, okay? We should be realistic about our expectations. We shouldn't expect to become fluent quickly, because that's just simply not the case, okay? It's important to understand this and to be patient with yourself and to be patient during this process. Don't force things. Don't try to force it to go super, super fast. Of course, try to do as much as you can so that you can learn more quickly. In general, obviously, you can do that. But don't force it. Don't get too anxious about needing to speak really quickly or needing to understand everything really quickly. Be patient, right? If you put in the work and you're regular with it, it will come, okay? So don't force it. Be patient with yourself. You're going to make the same mistakes again and again and again, hundreds of times in some cases, okay? That actually happens. Sometimes it literally takes like 200 times before you finally say it right, okay? Most of the time, you can probably learn things more quickly than that, but sometimes you make the same mistake many times, dozens of times, okay? And you forget things, all right? We forget things that we learned in the past. And so you're going to make the same mistakes again and again. You're going to forget things that you learned. So you need to be patient with yourself. Be patient during this process. People often give up too soon because they're not patient, right? They just assume that because it's not easy for them, because it's taking a while, this means that they are not talented at language learning. It's just not for them, right? They come to this conclusion, but in reality, they're just not patient, right? I've been learning languages for years. It's a slow process in most cases, unless you are just forced to learn really quickly for some reason. Sometimes that happens, but most of the time that doesn't. You have time. You don't need to learn in 2 months or else your life is over. That's usually not the case. And because of that, it takes a while. Okay, so yeah, a good language learner is patient during the language learning process, and they're patient with themselves. Okay? Next, a good language learner has humility. They are humble. So, what does this mean? They're willing to be like a small child. Okay? They're willing to be like a little kid who's just learning something for the first time, because you're going to get corrected. You're going to say things that quite honestly sound funny or sometimes even ridiculous. Okay? I don't mean that in a bad way. We all go through that as language learners. We say ridiculous things, and it's funny. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? I have young children. My son says some pretty funny, sometimes ridiculous things, and it's funny, and we laugh at it, and he laughs at it. He doesn't get all offended that we're laughing at something silly that he said wrong or whatever. we laugh at it and we make it a positive experience. My son thinks it's hilarious when he accidentally says the wrong word, for example. And that's how we need to be as language learners, okay? We need to laugh at ourselves, be humble, not expect to be really good, and expect to be able to say everything we want to say naturally from the beginning. It doesn't work like that. We need to humble ourselves and understand that we need help. We need to get corrected. We need to ask other people for help, perhaps, when we're learning the language. We need to not take ourselves too seriously. And like I said, we need to laugh at our mistakes. Okay? If you can't laugh at your mistakes, language learning is not going to be fun. Okay? It's going to be pretty stressful. And when language learning is stressful, it's often not effective. You often don't progress the way you would like to progress. So laugh at yourself. Be like a small child, except that you are not at the level as other people or as native speakers. Okay? All of that is important. All right? Humility. Lastly, a good language learner is willing to challenge themselves. Okay? They need to be able to use content that is actually challenging for them. Okay? Content that's a little above your level, that contains things that are hard to understand, perhaps. And you do this so that you can reach that level. It's like going to the gym. If you always lift the same amount of weight because it's comfortable for you, then you're not going to get stronger and lift heavier weight. You have to put more weight on the bar or whatever and try that even though it's challenging in order to become accustomed to that new weight. The same thing goes for language learning, okay? You need to challenge yourself and use content that's a little bit harder than what you're comfortable with, and that will get you accustomed to content at that level, okay? A really practical example of this is that many people just use my normal podcast episodes, or perhaps they use my YouTube videos in which I speak slowly, and they refuse to start listening to more advanced content. They refuse to listen to my advanced episodes, for example, or they just put that off and say, I'll do that later. I'll do that next year, right? And they don't do what they should be doing, which is challenging themselves to actually get accustomed to what fast English sounds like, okay? If that's your case, if you're comfortable with the way I'm talking now, if you're comfortable with my podcast episodes, and you just want to stay here, that's gonna cause your improvement to go slowly, okay? It's gonna cause you to not progress as quickly as you would like to. You have to challenge yourself, okay? So, for example, like I said, if this content is easy for you, start using more advanced content. Use my advanced episodes, or use other content that is more challenging, right? And then, of course, you need to eventually start to listen to more than one person talking, right? That's what I always talk about when I talk about my U.S. Conversations podcast. That gives you the opportunity to listen to two people talking and not just one. It helps you become accustomed to that type of situation where there's more than one person talking. And even just these videos, I titled them A1 or A2 Of course, I say things and I use language in these videos that is a little bit more challenging than A1 or A2. But that's the point. The point of an A2 video, an A2 listening practice video, is to help you reach a higher level, right? If you're at an A2 level, you should be listening to content that's higher than that level, a little bit higher, so that you can become accustomed to that higher level content and reach that level. So we're at the end of the video. You know what you need to do, right? You either need to develop more of an interest in the culture of whatever language you're learning, in your case, English. You need to be patient, okay? Be humble and challenge yourself, okay? Use content that's a little challenging for you so you can reach that next level, okay? So if you want that challenging content, check out the links down below for my advanced episodes in my U.S. Conversations podcast. Check those out. Those will be helpful for you. All right, thank you all for watching this video, and I'll talk to you in the next one.